from our offices in Boston, Massachusetts and New Orleans, Louisiana. Welcome to Design of Play, the maiden voyage of your game industry podcast, with your host, senior game designer Chris Canfield. Today's episode, Brainstorming and Ideation.
Have you ever wondered why Mario collects coins, or why Zelda keeps getting captured? Welcome to the Design of Play, where we examine the dirty kitchen floor of game development. I'm your host, Chris Canfield. This week, we examine effective brainstorming, or as some people in the industry say, ideation. I don't like those people that use that word. The most cost-effective ideas in game development are cross-discipline. This is sometimes known as the Nintendo effect. The Nintendo effect comes down to this. You can attract people by throwing a ton of development money at an existing idea, or like Nintendo, you can attract them with something shiny and cheap that they haven't seen before. For example, Grand Theft Auto V is a traditional open-world game. It had a team of about 1,000 or so people working for multiple years to create. As of this recording, it has sold an impressive 34 million copies. Wii Fit, by comparison, is a much smaller title. It's a game designed while someone was wiggling on their bathroom scale, and it had a team of about 30 people for a year. It had sold 22 million copies. While that isn't as many as Grand Theft Auto V by about 10 million, remember that it cost less than 1/100th the amount to develop. Wii Fit could have easily been a mini-game within Grand Theft Auto V. How do you get that cross-discipline effect in your games? Long story short, you have hobbies and you keep an eye out for how they make you feel. Will Wright, designer of SimCity, took an active interest in architecture and how that made people move through spaces. The result, The Sims, sold hundreds of millions of copies and enslaved a new generation of casual players. Shigeru Miyamoto, designer of such beloved Disney games as Donkey Kong and Zelda, was gardening one day when he found a shiny bottle cap in the bushes. He translated that feeling into bumping bricks to collect hidden coins in Super Mario Bros. So now you have an active hobby life and an active mind, and you have a problem in your current game. Say, you need to come up with a hook that makes it stand out in the crowded app market. According to PocketGamer.biz, as of the time of this recording, 235 games are submitted to the iTunes App Store each and every day. So you're looking for that magical hook that will make your 236th game be the one that everyone notices. Where do you start? First, you need to set the clear vision for the brainstorming session. We need a hook. Take that, write that down, stick it on a piece of paper, and stick it over the doorway. Now that you know the specific thing that you're going for, make sure that you write down explicit goals that you also need to hit on your way there. Maybe one of your goals is to make the player feel larger than life. Maybe you've got a small team, so whatever it is needs to be doable on the cheap. Maybe multiplayer is core to your game, so you want this to be a cooperative multiplayer hook. Write this all down and stick it up somewhere, on a door, on a table, on someone's face. Whose faces will you be taping it to? Well, you want at least 3 people with different backgrounds. Everyone brings their own hobbies and histories to the table. The best teams are created with ideas pulled from multiple sources. There are just 3 ground rules to brainstorming. 1. No idea can be dismissed. Don't say why this can't work, but ask yourself how it could be made to work. 2. Don't get stuck on one idea. If you find yourself repeating the same thing over and over, say something that you don't believe in, just to unstick yourself. And number 3, stay playful. The best ideas come out when people are free to free associate. And remember, these are just ideas. Ideas are cheap and messy, and you will come up with a lot of bad ones in the pursuit of coming up with that good one that's going to sell the game. What do I mean by not saying why this can't work, but asking yourself how it could work? Well, let's take jumping, for example. Say you have an open-world crime-fighting game, and you need to juice it up a bit. Someone in the brainstorming session says, let's have the player leap tall buildings in a single bound. That could be dismissed as breaking the game, breaking the collision, breaking the game balance, and just generally being ridiculous for what it is. But the developers at Real-Time Games asked themselves, how could we make this work? Well, the player could acquire this power slowly, over time. They can encounter larger and larger buildings as the game goes on, so that there's still proportional gameplay elements. This could also be an open world, so that jumping into areas they're not supposed to be in isn't a surprise, it's an actual gameplay mechanic. Then they went high level. What does it mean to leap tall buildings? Well, it means the player becomes like a superhero. That gets other ideas flowing, like they can throw cars around, maybe they can see through walls, or maybe they eventually stop bullets. This game that started about being a GTA with a cop has evolved into evoking the feeling of being a superhero. Crackdown was one of the most successful games of the year it was released because of this how can we make this work brainstorming session. I hope this has given you some ideas for your next brainstorming session, what you'll create and who you'll tape your ideas to. This is your host of The Design of Play, Chris Canfield, powering down.